So people have joined us meanwhile in the platform. So let me start by welcome you all in behalf of our president, engineer Carlos Iglesias, who unfortunately couldn't join us today. So welcome you all to the 9th International Meeting on Environmental Technologies, which is promoted by the Portuguese Association of Environmental Technologies Companies. This is part of a set of activities that our association promotes towards the support to the internationalization and export on the environmental sector. By seeing that it is the 9th edition, you already have a clue that this initiative aligns with other that have taken place. Let me just share with you quickly very quickly that our association, we've been doing this sort of activities in the past 12 years because yes, we are an association that gathers environmental technologies companies operating in several fields of expertise, namely energy, water, waste, and the new set of companies that operate on the sustainable development or on sustainability, or we have companies that operate on legal aspects, on consultancy, on project. And we are also an environmental non-governmental organization. And among our mission and our goals is the support to internationalization. We also try to act as a global platform that promotes the interaction between different types of stakeholders, not only companies, but government agencies, regulators, and abroad entities that are able to interact or interested in interacting and getting to know a little bit better the Portuguese environmental company sector. And so we do it in our everyday activities by promoting seminars, workshops, webinars like this. We do it also promoting training courses. We have promoted the publication of several open access documents that cover many environmental fields, but also information regarding abroad markets on what relates to environmental areas. And we promote the national and international dissemination of the sector, its capabilities, its technologies, and its know-how. We do that with the support of financed projects. We have the co-financing of the Portuguese government funds. And I also take the opportunity of thank them for all the financial support to the project that gathers here, that allow us to gather here today. But we have, just for sharing, we have projects that tackle the training and consultancy to SMEs in their reality, in their companies, in their everyday reality. But we also have these projects that try to support the sector as a whole. So we try to promote the increasing of knowledge on environmental areas, not only within the sector, but out in other sectors like construction, like services, like all other manufacturing sectors. And we also have some activities and some work done on the promotion of entrepreneurship, namely next to university students that have ideas that tackle the green transition, the sustainable development goals, and we try to also increase their awareness on the business, on the opportunities that this sector represents. And we have this project that allow us to be here today, which is mainly composed of activities that that allow us to promote the sector internationally by participating in exhibitions and trade fairs abroad, but also to establish important cooperation protocols with similar entities in abroad markets. Our main goals with these partnerships are to create useful bridges so that our companies are able to access and have in abroad markets some interlocutors that are able to drive them and also to integrate them in the sectors. And indeed, with these partners, we try to promote the fostering and exchange of information and business opportunities. And this is more or less what we are doing here today. Earlier, I shared that these events, like these international meetings, used to take place, and I think that they will keep taking place in Portugal. And we would invite you to be here to interact directly with our companies and to get to know their realities and network. But due to the pandemic, we had some delays on the possibilities of traveling and also on the different realities for traveling. And so we opted, or we made a bet, let's try to do it online. Let's try to take some advantage of these new technologies or these new tools that emerged with the pandemics, and at least try to promote some exchange of information and realities so that we are able to interact with our abroad partners. And so we are very sorry that we were not able to have you here in person, but we will work on it. And hopefully in the next years, we are able to welcome you again, in this time in person. With these projects that support the internationalization, and with our experience in the past 12 years, we have built an interesting network of connections. But indeed, this approach to non-speaking African countries, it's a little bit of a novelty for us, at least in APEMETA. Yes, we have and Portuguese companies and APEMETA, we have a long history of collaboration with African countries, but especially those that speak Portuguese. This interest, this possibility of getting to know better non-Portuguese speaking African countries is a recent bet of APEMETA, and also because there is an increasing appetite from Portuguese companies to get to know a little bit better what are the opportunities and the realities in non-Portuguese speaking African countries. Just for finishing, we have also two projects, two European projects. One of them tackles the training on energy efficiency, and the other one we are involved with, it is devoted to sustainable agriculture. We are trying to promote the shift of this new food systems towards sustainability, because it covers many environmental areas, not only due to water management, but also to environmental monitoring. And so we are involved with them. And so today's event is it's our first experience in well, we adopted the English language, even though we are aware that it is not the native language for some of you, namely for Togo and Morocco, but sorry, but it is still a language that more or less we can interact. And we are very sorry for not having translation for all of you, but we are trying to kick off a little bit of interaction. And here with us today, we will have some partners from different countries. All of them are APEMETA's partners. Recently, we recently started to cooperate. Well, in what regards FENELEC, it's a little bit older. But we have here today Dosse Sossouga from Togo, from the Amis des Etrangers au Togo. He has an extensive experience in promoting cooperation, international cooperation. He has participated in several trainings, and he is recognized by the United Nations, and also for many European platforms that promote interaction. Unfortunately, Karen Giffard from Botswana couldn't join us today due to technical problems. They are experiencing an energy blackout, and so she's not able to connect. However, in the Beamian platform, you will be able to access her presentation, her PowerPoint, and at least give it a quick look. We have also Anthony Wordui with us. He's from Ghana. He's an industrial engineer and also the CEO of WECA Foundation. He has a master's in sustainable energy, and so he will be talking and sharing with us today the opportunities in Ghana. We have Emanuel, the only Portuguese here with us today. Emanuel is the CEO and director of Environmental Waves, and we invited him to be with us because he's also able to experience, to share some of his experience within abroad and African markets. And he's an environmental engineer. And welcome. And I hope that we are able to share with you some of the Portuguese expertise. We have Tshilidzi from, well, he's talking to us from South Africa, but he represents FANRPAN, which is a Pan-African institution, and which is the Food, Agriculture and Natural resources policy analysis networks. It's a Pan-African organization, and his experience as is mainly on the applied research and policy analysis and monitoring and evaluation regarding what regards food systems, agriculture, and natural resources. Last but not least, we have Mr. Ahmed Squall, which is the vice president.
Excuse me, it's Ahmed Squally.
Squally, sorry. I'm very sorry. From Fenelec, from Morocco. He's an engineer on electrician. I would say, at least for in our in our school system, I would say that we are electrical engineers, and he's from Fenelec. He's the vice president, I believe. I will leave you to I will give you the opportunity of better present yourself. Sorry, Mr. Hamid Squally. But welcome you all. We are able that we hope that this next hour and hour and a half is able to help us share a little bit of the opportunities in your countries, and also debate some common challenges and also barriers that we have to address in our activities, so that we can support business opportunities between companies from both countries, from both Portuguese and African countries. And so, if possible, I would give the word to Dosse from Togo to speak us a little bit of the opportunities in Togo.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Like I was saying, I'm one of those who innovated the SDGs with the United Nations. And this term is very, very, very important to be highlighted. You know, SDGs is a world development program adopted by the world leaders in September, an holistic program with 15 goals. And like you said the 15 goals are poverty eradication, hunger elimination, energy for all. And if we take Togo, for example, we have lack of energy for all. Lack of energy for all. And if we take SDG 2, hunger elimination, we have land, but the traditional manner to develop agriculture is not good. It's not. This cannot be very rentable for the population. So, like you know it, Ukraine and the Russia war creates many problems in Africa, like malnutrition and hunger. So now our country, Togo, wants to develop agriculture and a new agriculture in the country. For the energy for all also, the government plan is to electrify all the country by 2030. But we need technology. Without clean, affordable, renewable energy technology, we can't reach this goal. We need also clean cook stove technology. We need clean electric, hydrogen, hybrid technology cars, and truck, bus, plane. We need many things in energy technology. So I think that what you can do in your country to help us, we are ready to help you reach this objective.
Thank you, Dosse. On what regards energy, let me ask you, the solutions that you seem more interesting are usually isolated solutions that are able to work locally in communities. Is that right? So maybe we are not able to keep. Oh, okay, Dosse.
Yes.
Yes, Dosse, I was asking you when you highlight the lack of energy solutions, are there opportunities for isolated systems in Togo?
Yes. Oh yes, many opportunity in rural zones.
In rural zones.
Yes.
What is the typical size of populations in rural zones? Are they villages for 50 people or 200 or 500? Can you give us a scale?
The last maybe I don't know, because this is a statistic data revolution. We must do we must collect information in villages before knowing exactly what is the quantity of person in need.
Okay.
This first project or study project has not been already done, but the last data collection in last month only related that we have all the population is about 8 million. 8 million. But for the energy, we can start molo with a number, reduced number until 230. Yes, we can start with 100 or 1,000 until
okay.
230.
And is energy only a priority? Energy only the main priority, or energy plus water the one of the interests?
One of
energy solutions, or
the connection is not stable.
Okay, so maybe we can talk a little bit about it later. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, we go on.
Okay, so we go on with Anthony Wordui from Ghana. We will share the slides so that you are comfortable speaking.
Okay.
The video first.
Okay.
Just a second.
Ghana has achieved major development gains over the past 3 decades. However, its future economic and human development is at risk from climate change, higher temperatures, erratic rainfall patterns, land degradation, water insecurity, and local air pollution will hamper human capital and productivity. Without urgent climate action, an additional 1 million Ghanaians risk falling into poverty by 2050. Agriculture yields and labor productivity will drop, and incomes could be reduced by up to 40% for the poorest households. Today, Ghana can turn these challenges into opportunities. With the right reforms and investments, the country could gain an extra 4% in GDP by 2040, delivering large economic and social benefits for its people. How can Ghana prioritize actions that boost resilience and low-carbon development? The World Bank's Country Climate and Development Report identifies 6 priority areas for climate resilient and low-carbon development pathway. Adopting an integrated approach to agriculture and environmental management, building sustainable cities and resilient infrastructure systems, boosting disaster risk preparedness, creating new opportunities for managing forest resources for climate resilience, promoting a transition to clean energy, and modernizing transport systems. This requires building strong institutions, billions of dollars from public and private sector, and ensuring that nobody is left behind. But the country needs to act now. With a robust macroeconomic framework in place, Ghana can leverage private and development finance to promote a greener and resilient future for all.
Thank you. Thanks,
Now we
Rita.
are sharing the presentation.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hey, good morning, everybody, wherever you may be. I'm Anthony Wordui of WECA Foundation. And thanks to the organizers for giving me this opportunity to present my country, Ghana, to expose the huge opportunities that we have, which we can have investors and also any other scientific research personalities who would like to come and help us solve our environmental problems. Next slide, please. So the short clip gives the overview of Ghana. I'm just going to add some facts and some statistics and some of the rare needs which Ghana is experiencing. So we will start by introducing Ghana again. We will touch on the environmental challenges.
Sorry.
The challenges we are having, the problems with sanitation and waste, energy and water, and also share some of the opportunities that we need external help to come and help us solve this problem. Next slide, please. So for the sake of those who are not aware of where Ghana is, you can see we are in West Africa, and a very, very strong and beautiful country. You see our flag in the left-hand side. The black star inside the flag means the first president of Ghana, who is Dr. Osagyefo Kwame Nkrumah, wants Ghana to be the black star of the whole continent. and bright and bring prosperity to each individual in all the four corners of the continent. Next slide, please. So some statistics about Ghana. We are now over 32 million people. We have a lower middle income. The nation is growing industrial level. So we are having middle income, which is growing a lot at a faster rate. GDP per capita, we have 2.024, and we are covering an area of 238,533 kilometers square. So it's a huge country with huge mineral resources. We have forests, we have rivers, and all that one can take of. We have a stable democracy since 1992, sorry, and we are under the rule of law. Some of the few countries which you can find in the continent. And also, in addition to that, Ghana is very close to the center of the whole world. So if you are coming to Ghana, the distances are the same if you are coming from left or right or south or in the north. So that Ghana becomes the beacon of the world. So talking about traveling to Ghana from Lisbon is about 5 hours, and from Europe 6 hours, from South Asia 6 hours, 9 hours from USA. So you can see why we are in the center of the world. Next slide, please. So getting away from the geographical location, Ghana is also the headquarters of the African Continental Free Trade Area. This is very important because inside the Secretariat, you have all the countries who have signed up to this pact. So if you are doing business in Ghana, you have access to the Nigerian Secretariat, you have access to Botswana, you have access to Togo. It makes it very, very international, and so it's very attractive doing activities in Ghana. Next slide, please. So what are the environmental challenges? Ghana, like any other African countries or third world countries, if I can say so, we are having deforestation problem, we are having waste management problem, water pollution, greenhouse, you name them. But time will not allow us, so I will just focus on these 4 areas like waste, water, air pollution, and then contamination. Next slide, please. So we are starting from the water pollution. Next slide, please. So as we all know, water pollution is something which is very, very bad for a country because we depend on the water to do almost everything in life. Like, so our rivers, our lakes, our oceans, the groundwater that we fetch around us, if it is polluted, then it means our health is at stake. Next slide, please. So there are many causes of the water pollution. You have industrial waste, which filtered into the water, the ground. You have also how we manage our waste, which sinks into the ground. But since we are blessed with gold, diamond, and all the mineral resources, there are also some illegal mining, which you can get gold by digging into the ground. So I invite you all to visit Ghana. By digging a little bit, you can get gold. And this illegal mining is causing havoc. They also use some chemicals like mercury, hazard chemicals to extract these minerals. So this is having a devastating effect on our rivers. You can see on the right-hand side, the rivers which the villages depends on for farming, for drinking, for cooking, has turned into a muddy areas. Next slide, please. So sorry for the images that I use for this, just to show the type of illness that water pollution can bring. We have in Ghana, like most African countries, have a health system which is very, very strained. But if additional this pollution provoking some health issues, it puts on Ghana in a very, very difficult position. That's why we need help to find a solution to this, which will help alleviate the suffering of the people, and also the hospitals will not be saturated. Next slide, please. Yes. So we are going to talk about waste management here. Waste management is very essential in urban planning, but during the time that from independence downwards, the planning on waste management was not taken very seriously like now. So it creates a very big problem, which is people are throwing waste everywhere. We have one big company called Zoomlion, who is the only big company who is handling this problem. So when people are throwing this dust and also throwing this waste, it clogs the gutters. So when there is a big rainfall, you can see how even cars cannot move. And then when the rain stops, you can see the waste being left on the roads, and then all sinks into the ground. And in addition to that, we have also landfill, which is the waste which was collected by the companies. Some of them dump them, so they make a landfill. And all this doesn't help. Next slide, please. So once again, the consequence of the land pollution is we have water pollution, we have agricultural lands which we cannot use anymore to plant, and this is the livelihood of people in the rural areas. And then the drinking water also, as you've seen in the earlier slides, they become undrinkable. And then in addition of that, we have health problems. So help is needed, investment is needed in this area to help us overcome this problem, especially on waste management. Now the third point is the air pollution. Air pollution, next slide please. Yes. During the transition period from fossil fuel to clean energy, we can see that air pollution comes from different sources. But I want to stop on this here concerning the type of energy we use in our household for cooking. In most African countries, I'll not say all of them, we use firewood. And this can be very dangerous for especially women and also even men. And according to the study which was done by University of Massachusetts, he said it causes more death than smoking cigarettes, because when you are inhaling the smoke, you cannot see it. You just see it when you get sick. So you can see some of the health effects from this firewood, using it as a household energy for cooking. So you can see these chronic obstructive pulmonary diseases, lung cancer, asthma, etc. So it is important. We need investment in this side, which I will talk about again on the coming slides. Next slide, please. So cooking with fire is more dangerous than smoking firewood. So you can see that not only that it is causing illness to our mothers, our sisters, it is also, this firewood comes from the forest, so it's deforestation. So the challenge now is to find a clean energy whereby the women can cook without being exposed to hazards, and also have our forest intact, which is taking on the carbon. And also today, not only the firewood, but we are using gas as well, which is a little bit better, but it can be dangerous if it is not used very well. Next slide, please. So the air pollution, you all know that the consequence of that is cancer has been very rampant now in the continent. And you have asthma, children are born with asthma, or birth defects, and these all, if we can reduce it, we cannot avoid it, but if we can reduce it through technological means, it is a very good thing for us. I don't know if my time is up.
No, it's okay.
Okay. So what we are looking for investment to bring us during this energy transition, have a clean energy needed for household. An example is like the solar cooking stove, which is very simple, and we have a natural sunshine for our mothers, our sisters to cook with. And on the waste disposal, waste management sector, we need a technology to expose this. How do we expose this waste in a very clean manner? Even if we cannot find the whole solution, but minimize the effect on the population in terms of health and also other aspects of life. A technological solution is also needed for safe mining, whereby we cannot pollute our wells, our rivers, because this mercury that they are using produces arsenic mercury. It produces very toxic acid inside the water, which is damaging for the population. Next slide, please. So the government is pushing for more investment, both national and international. 22.6 billion is looking on many ways that investors can come and start to find a remedy to this situation to protect the population. So I will invite our entrepreneurs who have the technology for this to come to Ghana. You know, the flight time is not far away to help Ghana get out. They have a target to 2030, so it's still time to get on board to help us solve this situation. The last slide, please. And I want to add this to the renewable energy sector, which is we are in the transition period. The minister is saying about over 562 billion during the transition framework that he wants to get Ghana to its target of the Paris Accord. So there's a huge opportunity over there for investors to come down to Ghana and invest. And also, we will also take advantage of the technology. And the next slide. Yes. Thank you for your attention. And we have, if anyone have interest of coming to Ghana, I think Rita is around and the team, you can contact them. And also we have a board, a general board in Ghana called the GIPC. That is the promotion of investors. So we can work together and to help also the population in Ghana and also in Africa at large. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you so much, Anthony. Thank you for the very interesting presentation and for covering the main aspects of your country and the challenges. I will now give the word to Emanuel. Emanuel is from Portugal and from Environmental Waves, which is operating in several countries in Africa also. And I will give the word to Emanuel. Thank you again.
Hello, good morning. Can you see the presentation? Yes, okay.
Yes.
So thank you very much again for this opportunity to present Environmental Waves. We are a Portuguese company based about 30 kilometers from Porto in the north of the country. And the main aim of this company is to always seek creative and innovative solutions for the environment, mostly in the water sector. So we work and we present solutions that you usually don't find in the market, and I will try to present two solutions that we already have. In one case, a more advanced experience, and in another one, experience on the international market, in the African market. Okay, so these are two solutions that are already being worked in the African market. So Nature Waves, nature-based solution. It's a nature-based solution to treat wastewater. So basically what we do is we use local plants, okay, like for example Tifa or Phragmites, these are the scientific name, and we use them to treat wastewater. This is a process that has been used since the 70s of last century, and basically the classical nature-based solution, we have a soil and we put a plant, Tifa for example, and then we put on in there the wastewater. The wastewater will grow through the sand or the rocks up to the roots. In the roots, we will have a biofilm grow, and this biofilm, these bacteria will treat the wastewater, decompose it in elements, and the plant will feed from them using the phosphorus or the nitrogen, for example. And at the end, you will have the wastewater treated. These classical wetlands, they have, from our point of view, they have a small problem, is that after a few years, you have the clogging of this area. So the water doesn't reach, the wastewater doesn't reach the plants. And then after, let's say, 8 years or 9 years, you need to rebuild everything, take everything out and do it again. So our solution is what if we don't need to use the soil? What if we put the plants floating above the wastewater? So Nature Waves is an evolution from the constructed wetlands, and what we do is that we put the plants floating above the wastewater. With that, we have two major productivity increase. One of them is that the time of contact, the volume we need, that contact with the plant is larger. So imagine that you would have a lot of rocks or sand here, and suddenly you don't have it. So you don't need that much volume to treat the same habitants, the effluents from the same habitants. On the other hand, the roots of the plants can grow freely. So they grow much bigger root networks. That means that we have a surface area per volume larger than classical constructed wetland. So with nature waves, we can do the same, but with a higher productivity. And at the end, you don't need to redo the wastewater treatment plant after 8 or 10 years, because it will stay here as long as the impermeabilization that you have works, like for 20 years or more, okay? So there is no clogging. There is, this is a natural process, so you don't need to have high-tech pumps, you don't need to have a team ready to understand about pumps, about everything. It's very simple, it's like a garden. Okay? So this is the aspect that you have at the end. These plants, they are all floating above the water, okay? And I will show you another one. And it works 24 hours per day. There is no energy consumption. You can set up this everywhere. And we can also retrofit existing wastewater treatment plants. Like, for example, we have some process. In Africa, we are working with the World Bank. They have approved already, I think, 2 or 3 wastewater, the financing of 2 or 3 wastewater plants, nature waves. So the goal here is to, for example, you can set up this in a small community. And then we work with the local community. We source the plants locally. And we teach, for example, the municipality how to handle this wastewater treatment plant. The projects we have, the plants will be cutted, and I will show you. The plants can be cutted and used as a fertilizer with the sludge that you have upstream from the wastewater treatment plant, and then you can with that have a high nutrient product that you can give to local farmers, or you can create companies that can provide the local community with this kind of solution. So this is very low tech. It is very easy to implement, and there is no energy needed. You don't need to have a strong technical team for that. And now I will show you some results that we have here in Portugal already. So this is a wastewater treatment plant that we installed in 2014. The equivalent person is 100 inhabitants. So the legal exit values are from on this side, and this is the domestic wastewater treatment plant. So it's the normal BOD values, and at the end we have a very low BOD values, very low COD. Okay, and the most interesting in this client was that they had troubles with so their legal document to send the treated wastewater. They needed to comply with the nitrogen, the nitrates, and so on. So as you can see, we manage with the plants to have very low values. Okay. So this is the look after, how it looks after a few years. We don't touch in it. So as you can see, it's floating. It has a large biomass, but it's still floating. So I think like last year or 2 years ago, we were asked to do some gardening around the plants. And so this is to give you an idea of the dimension of the plant, this is one person working. So as you can see, the plants can grow very high and they are floating. Okay, this is always floating. So the plants can go up more than 2 meters high. And this is the work done cutting the plants. So this is an idea that, for example, on the projects we have approved for by the World Bank, the idea is to cut the plants and then use them, mix them with the sludge and create a fertilizer, a natural fertilizer that can be used locally. So the wastewater treatment plant, Nature Waves, is not only treating wastewater, it is also helping local communities to have a better agricultural product. Okay, so this is how it looks after the haircut, and after a few months, it's here again. Okay, so a few months later, it will grow. So that's why we can have this done locally. The other solution is sonic waves. So this solution is used to prevent. It does not treat the water. Okay, it only prevents the algae bloom and the cyanobacteria in the water bodies. Due to climate change, we have at this moment very high temperature, and the water bodies, they are full of nutrients. So this is the best conditions for the microalgae and the cyanobacteria to grow and to colonize the water body. And large numbers of blooms, they are only, how to put it, damaging the pump system for irrigation, for example, or the water treatment plants, because you need to have better filtration and so on. But nowadays, we are having a lot more of harmful algae blooms. And this is a problem because it impacts the health of the people around the water body. Okay, we can have cyanobacteria, and their toxins can be airborne. There are already studies saying that toxins from cyanobacteria can be airborne and damage the health of the people surrounding a water body contaminated with cyanobacteria. So traditionally, what is done is a mechanical removal. With this, if you have cyanobacteria, you will increase the liberation of toxins, because you will cut the cyanobacteria cells and open them and then liberate the toxin into the water. So it is not actually a good solution. And the other one is to use chemicals. At a given point, you cannot, there is no budget for the amount of chemicals you are always throwing into the water, apart from the legal and the environmental issues, okay? So what we do is we use ultrasound that we manufacture here. It is a very simple equipment that you put under the water, and it works 24/7. And what it will do is it will, we say it's an environmental solution because we don't work with the water. What we are doing is we are telling to these species, to these microalgae and cyanobacteria, that the space they are trying to colonize is not good for them. Although they have the sun, they have the nutrients, they have the heated water, now they have some kind of a noise that is telling them this is not a good place to stay. So this is the way that we found with very good results, and that eliminates the clogging problem in the pumps, the presence of cyanobacteria, and so on. So we can put it in rivers, we can put it in lakes, we can put it in dams, we can put it in wastewater treatment plants. We are just now doing that. This is official, so I can present this in this conference. We were selected to the Maputo wastewater treatment plant in Mozambique. So it's in Infulen wastewater treatment plant for the capital. And at the end, it's a lake. It's a treatment system is based on lagoons, and the last lagoon, which is for the disinfection of the water, it has around I think 1 meter depth, and then the problem is it will grow algae. So the quality of the water will decrease in that last lagoon, and you may have cyanobacteria. And then what you are doing is to the influent river, you are actually treating wastewater, but you are giving to the water body, you may be giving cyanobacteria to the water body. So that means that the people around of it that will use that water for agriculture, for example, or for drinking, they will be using water with cyanobacteria and toxins. So we will put sonic waves in the last lagoons to prevent the algae blooms and the cyanobacteria. The process is very simple. Actually, we have an emitter we put inside the water body. It will work 24/7. And what it will do is these dots that represent the microalgae or the cyanobacteria, they will not, they will do by the age. That means that you will not have a generation renovation. So if you already have an algae bloom, you don't need to take the water out or to do anything. You put the equipment and you wait around 4 weeks to 8 weeks to see the results. That's the time we need for to end the generation renovation. You know what I mean? So the colony will die by age. And then you will start to have your water clean without any algae or any cyanobacteria. Just to give you an example, we did this in Bragança, in the north of the country, in 2017. So they had the filamentous algae, and so yeah, they were always taking it out, and it was a very, so they were doing, for example, in this area, the next day with a boat with no motors, because they couldn't use a motor here. And the following day in another area, the next week, they would need to start here again because it would be used again by the bloom of the algae. So as an example, this is before the use of sonic waves. This is after the use of sonic waves. Okay, the same place, before and after, then before and after. They have, along the river, they have a very small dams. Okay, so that's why we did the treatment between 2 dams, one here and the other one here. Okay. This is an ultrasound, so any object you have in front of it, it will not pass to the other side. So we need to work that we have to take that in attention, okay? And we export this, for example, for South Africa. We have a partner in South Africa, and they are using our technology for quite a long time also. And we are now using it also in Mozambique. And it can help a lot when we are talking about potable water. Okay, it can help a lot in the process. It can help a lot in the costs that you have to treat the raw water. And and it can increase the quality of the water in a very simple way, just avoiding the presence of algae bloom and cyanobacteria. And that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Emanuel. Thank you for your interesting contribution. We invited Emanuel and the environmental waves because I think it is an example of how Portuguese SMEs have solutions and are interested and already partnering in African countries. Apart from the other traditional internationalization processes where we have our, for instance, construction companies that are building infrastructures in African countries, and by that they take with them some other small and medium-sized companies. But in fact, what happens is that the main driver of such process is the big company that is going to Africa. Here, what happens is that APEMETA is trying to create the interface and to promote that these small and medium-sized enterprises that already have solutions that operate and they succeed, and that they can be easily adapted by these countries, that we wanted also to showcase them, because at the end of the day, this is the main goal of the association, is to promote the processes of those who are more small and medium-sized companies. And so thank you for the good Portuguese example, Emanuel. And I would now give the word to Tshilidzi from FANRPAN to talk us a little bit about the farming systems in Africa and the transitioning to sustainability.
So thank you so much for the opportunity. I hope I'm audible enough.
Yes.
All right. So on behalf of FANRPAN, let me acknowledge the invitation. Let me also say that today's webinar to share our experiences and maybe possible opportunities on environmental technology is timely, more so for Sub-Saharan region where we operate. I believe that this engagement will foster South-South-North collaboration. Global South, here being Sub-Saharan Africa, do require strategic partnership with Global North. Here being Portugal, where you are a network of companies which are dealing with technologies, and we really do need those technologies in this part of the geography. So you will be happy for yourself and together with your participants to learn that FANRPAN, which is a Pan-African policy think tank, which is also a network of networks, and APEMETA just concluded a cooperation agreement a month ago. And so we appreciate the invitation to this important platform. And we are available to do business with people who are associated with APEMETA. Before talking about the topic which I was given, which is about transitioning to climate resilient farming system in Sub-Saharan Africa, you might be asking yourself, who is FANRPAN? So FANRPAN was established through call by ministers of agriculture in East and Southern Africa. So we are legislated in terms of establishment. And we do have got legitimacy in terms of connecting directly with government and also regional economic communities. So aligning with the topic that we are attending to today, FANRPAN mission is to build resilient food systems across Africa. And I'm not only talking about situation in South Africa, but I'm representing an organization which is Pan-African, and I will be representing Sub-Saharan Africa. And for this, let me underscore that we really need to have environmentally friendly technologies, which are very important for our continent and for the farming community. So at FANRPAN, we are about assisting the creation, implementation, assessment of policies for food, which is 1, 2, agriculture, and 3, natural resources. And these are 3 technical areas which we focus on. And we do this by doing 3 things. The first one is by conducting policy research analysis to generate research-based evidence. Number 2, we pride ourselves by strengthening the capacity of individual institutions, both from the supply and the demand side of evidence, because we are about generating evidence and making sure that that evidence is used. And number 3 and last, we are about conducting evidence policy advocacy in partnership with state and non-state actors. With our Africa-wide mandate, we are now in 17 African countries, and we are looking forward to partnering with APEMETA in terms of making sure that we reach beyond the 17 African countries to other geographies which we are not present, in terms of making sure that the technologies which gonna be benefiting our farmers is gonna be implemented. So to address the topic, what are the challenges within the region which we are faced with? As you know, the Sub-Saharan region is most vulnerable to climate change and climate variability, and also the continent associated with malnutrition challenge, which then you all know. Most nations are far from attaining the Sustainable Development Goals SDG targets, and then these were further worsened by COVID-19 pandemic and also the global geopolitics that we all know, which is now constraining the already fragile food systems. But at the center of it all, we know that agriculture is a key sector and primary source of livelihood for millions of people within our continent. However, the farmers which I'm talking about, which majority are women in the region, face a range of challenges in transitioning to climate resilient farming systems. These challenges, amongst others, include that they have limited access to climate information and early warning systems. They've got limited access to finance and markets. There is poor infrastructure, limited access to technology, especially those that are environmentally friendly, which talks to the theme of the day. There is lack of knowledge and skills in climate resilience practices, but my point of departure is that environmental friendly technologies, which majority of them reside within the global north, if shared with us, can provide us with a healthy planet and healthy people. But they should consider, or they should be adapted to our context. This I need to repeat. Technologies, when they are brought from global north to south, they should be adapted to our context. So what does it take to address these challenges? For us, addressing these challenges requires a multifaceted approach that includes, amongst others, 1, strengthening early warning system and providing timely and accurate climate information, because climate information is important because African agriculture is rain-fed. So we really need to have that information. 2, promoting technologies that can improve access to finance. We know that a majority of our farmers are in rural areas, so how do they access this for financing? Number 3, providing accessible to markets. Road infrastructure, environmental friendly technologies are very important. We also need to promote related knowledge and skills transfer through training and exchange service. We know that physical visitation to each individual farmer is outdated. How can we bring digital information in terms of making sure that extension service is providing and is servicing people that are at remote areas? We also need supporting policies and institutions. We know that policies are there, but how then do we move from intent of expression to implementation? But more so, we need to encourage collaboration, and different stakeholders are important to deliver this. So talking about opportunities in food, agriculture, and natural resource space, and against our programming at FANRPAN, I can give you some examples of technologies which we can benefit from. At household, provision of safe drinking water, safe nutritious food, sanitation, hygiene, food preparation, especially some of the things that the colleagues that have spoken before me, they are emphasizing that we need smart cooking technologies. We know that we cannot go about chopping every tree which is around. In terms of on-farm technologies, we need to make sure that we are attending to conservation, climate smart agriculture. Precision agriculture is important in terms of making sure that biotechnology, ICT in agriculture is attended to modernize our agriculture. We don't have got to be extending the land in which we are farming on, but what we need more is to make sure that the current land that we're utilizing, we are being intensive and we are increasing our productivity. Pest management is important. Changing climate then is bringing new diseases and pests. How do we manage that? The colleague who spoken about me spoke about Earth Observatory in terms of making sure that we are not harming the nature that is already there. Renewable energy is very much important. We all talk about technologies, but not only on farm, but what do we do post-harvest? We need value addition, we need processing technologies, we need technologies that will preserve the food to enhance the shelf life. How do we attend to standards, food safety, and origin tracking? Because when we talk about continental trading, global trading, we need to make sure that standards, food safety, and the issues that relate to the origin of that food product are very much important. Almost 50% of the food is lost within the continent. How do we attend to food loss and management? This attend to SDG, then which talk about food loss and waste. These technologies I've spoken about, they are more from cropping side, but we do not need to talk about only those technologies. We need technologies that attend to agroforestry and also livestock industries. More so when we talk about green gas emissions, because we don't need to talk about only adaptation, but how then do we attend to mitigation measures in terms of curbing the climate change issue that we are trying to attend to. To give you a live example, a few months ago, we convened a regional climate smart agriculture policy dialogue. And over the 3 days, we had 75 speakers, 25 people who were attending in person, 200 virtual participants. And what did we resolve that we need to be focusing on? As an example, I will give you 5 things that we have prioritized. The first one is that there is water challenge in Sub-Saharan Africa, especially for rural communities. So what can the smallholder farmer do in these situations? We need water harvesting technologies, and we need smart irrigation innovations. Number 2, climate smart agriculture technologies innovations are not being adopted. So what can we do partnering with yourself in terms of making sure that within the global south, we are adopting environmentally friendly technologies for our continent? 3, we need to build resilient food systems. And for that, we need modern agriculture technology, considering the whole value chain, not only production. So we need to have an agriculture that delivers positive nutrition outcomes. So we need to be focusing on post-harvest, beyond the farm gate, and how that food is utilized and how that food is prepared. Number 4, we need to use water energy nexus. And then for this, we need to make sure that we have got a circular flow of economy in terms of making sure that we are reducing waste and loss of food. Number 5, we need to transform African food system to make sure that we are socially inclusive. And for this, we need to make sure that we bring women empowerment. Number 2, we need to make sure that we are including youth who are our dividend that we need to leverage from. So in conclusion, let me underscore that to increase adoption of these environmentally friendly technologies, which we are saying that we can benefit from yourselves, we need to consider the following, and I will mention 5 things. there is a need to bridge the gap between science, policy, and practice. 2, we need robust science, which is based on transdisciplinary approach, which is very key. Number 3, we need multisectoral and intersectoral partnership, which are important. This includes South-South and also South-North partnerships. And also, we need an enabling policy environment. And this is provided most often by the government. So how can we make sure that we are providing evidence to our government to make sure that their policy decisions are based on evidence? But number 5, which is very much important, for us to make sure that these technologies are taken to scale, private sector investment is very much important. Without any further ado, Program Director, let me just say that I'm looking forward to partner with APEMETA, more so the network which you are having, to make sure that as FANRPAN, as an autonomous body, we are enabling you to provide that technology for our partner organization within the continent. With those few words, I thank you so much and I appreciate the invitation.
Thank you so much. And let me share that I was one of the virtual attendees of your event, and it was and I think it was very interesting attending the event to get to know a little bit better what are the main concerns of the stakeholders, the relevant stakeholders, and I think that you highlighted very well the main outcomes of this debate, this important debate you promoted. I was wondering, or I think I could quickly just share two notes that that regard at least the Portuguese sector. Typically, we or typically, not typically, but it's a very strong reality. Just like Emanuel testimonied, we participate in several projects funded by multilaterals and development banks, and we are not only concerned about technology transfer and technology implementation in the field, but also on what addresses policy building and also capacitation and training and planning. One doubt that always comes to our mind is what is the state of the planning regarding this managing of environmental resources on the several African countries you work with. Are we on a point where planning already exists? There are the policies you highlighted. There are policies, but are there plans to take these these goals, these political goals to the field? Are there already plans, or are these plans being built towards the implementation of solutions? Are we still working on the planning? What would you comment on that, and what would you like to share with us on that point?
So to answer your question, in terms of intent on expressing the policy direction, that is there. And within the continent, we have got the CADEP Malabo Declaration, which talks about how can we build a resilient African food system and agriculture value chains. And we have been having the biennial reviews to make sure that those targets are met. However, we do not have investments that are linked to those targets to make sure that we are delivering towards that. So can African governments deliver by themselves? No, they cannot. They need partnerships which are strategic and targeting those strategic innovations that are linked to make sure that we are delivering on environmentally friendly innovations. We have got just transition frameworks that are now being implemented, but how then do we have investments to make sure that those technologies are on the ground? Governments have said that then they are willing to make sure that we are transitioning towards that, but investments are lacking. So how can we leverage funding from Global North to make sure that within the continent, we are implementing those technologies? So investment, given that they are competing with other priorities, which are developmental, the fiscus is stressed. How can we make sure that we are leveraging the foreign investment into the continent to make sure that we are implementing those innovations that we really need to have a global north which is sensitive and making sure that the technologies that they've used and they've proven that they do work are relevant for the continent.
Okay, because we are talking here about environmental technologies, but we also have here in Portugal some interesting experience on services, and many companies have participated in the, for instance, regional or local development plans for some environmental areas on which, for instance, agriculture development is also included. And I think that's also a point or a common point for exploring synergies, because partnerships can also address the development of planning or not the planning of development for a given region or a given reality, because that sort of plans are usually what make also the private investment less risky, and also for investors, they usually are have a greater appetite for regions which, despite having the political intent, they have at least some goals or at least some planning, some line of development for the region. And I think that's also a point where, given that the activities that FANRPAN develops, that's also a point of cooperation we could highlight here for companies that are mainly engaged with the consultancy services and also thinking of applying for multilateral open calls. And I would leave here the highlights to that, because you could be interesting partners also for them due to your extent or your range of actions. I would now give the word to Mr. Hamad Squali to talk us a little bit about energies and renewable energies and in Morocco.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
I'm very pleased to participate, and thank you very much for this opportunity to speak about what is happening in Morocco, and on behalf of our federation. As you asked me, Rita, I will just give some words about my CV, my profile. Effectively, I'm an electrical engineer, education in France, and have some experience working with EDF. Then coming back to Morocco, I had 2 job opportunities during some 10 years. Then I'm running my own business since '95, but as I'm acting in photovoltaic activity since more than 30 years. But the most important thing is that I have been president of the Association of Solar and Wind Industry for almost 10 years. So I have some overview of what is happening and the private sector, but also what is happening in Morocco on for the renewable energy strategy. FENELEC, well, my speech will be more on, as you have said, on renewable energy and the private sector. FENELEC is a federation including some 600 companies representing almost 95% of the turnover of the sector. And in fact, there is 3 sectors covered by FENELEC: electricity, renewable energy, and electronic industry. FENELEC was created in 1997. Some figures just to give you an idea about what represent this association. Turnover of almost $6 billion, some 69,000 jobs, employees, and we are exporting almost a third of this turnover. Export to mainly, of course, Africa, but also part of it is export to Europe and the Middle East. Excuse me, I have to move. Do you see my presentation or not? I don't know if I have to share it.
Not
Maybe.
yet.
No,
Okay.
but if you
Okay,
want,
I will
I
activate.
can share.
Yeah. So let me give me the ability to share my screen.
Raquel, podes dar com o anfitrião? Ou... que eu não consigo. Okay, you can now share.
Okay, I will try. Yes, alors, here it is. Tac. Can you see now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so you have the slide showing these numbers I just mentioned. In fact, as I have said, FENELEC is a federation of 5 associations, but really by now it's 6. I will let you know what is the 6th new association joining FENELEC. So we have 3 associations representing the electrical sector. One is the manufacturers, which is the industry of manufacturing electrical components, equipment, etc. One is distributors, mainly dealing with serving the markets of Morocco industry and EPCs by sourcing the products from local industry or international industry. The third one in this electric sector are the EPCs, installator. So all the engineering constructors, and many of them are exporting their activity for projects all around Africa. The 4th association is AZEL, which is the electronic sector, representing electronic companies. The 5th one is AMISOL, the one I am from. So AMISOL is the Moroccan Association of Solar and Wind Industry, but in fact it includes all the activity, I mean manufacturing, but also developers, engineering, etc. The last one that had just joined our federation is, it isn't mentioned on this slide, is the mobility. It has been just created recently for developing and promoting the electrical mobility. In general, green mobility, in fact. Coming back to these 3 sectors, our companies in each sector, for the electrical sector, of course, as I was saying, many of them are manufacturing electrical equipments, components, but also the engineering, construction. Many of them, of the EPCs, deal with our national program for rural electrification, which has been a very successful program. We started from 30% of electrification, and we reached by the end of the 90s 100%. So the country is well connected, and the grid has been developed for electrifying all the small villages and all the remote areas. The renewable energy sector includes, of course, wind farms, PV solar power plants, thermosolar, and other applications for solar, pumping, lighting, and electronic sector concerns the design, manufacturing, or maintaining electronic equipment and serving various industry in Morocco, like car industry, steel, all the industries, medical industries, etc. So coming back to the renewable energy strategy of Morocco, Morocco was concerned by the renewable energy, solar, wind, etc. since a long time. AMISOL, for instance, the association was created in 1987. So you can see since how long we in Morocco were interested for developing this energy. But the real boost of the strategy was initiated in 2009 by a very ambitious program with the target of reaching 42% of the installed power of renewable energy by 2020. And effectively, we were very close. This 42% in fact includes 14% of solar, 14% of wind, and 14% of hydraulic energy. Then there is another, in 2015, another target initiated by His Majesty, considering of 50% of the installed power by 2030, which means we have to double the installed power within 10 years from 2020 to 2030. There is other targets which are more ambitious, which consider of 70% of the power in the energy mix of Morocco from renewable energy by 2040, and even 80% in 2050. It's a very long time vision. In order to realize this kind of strategy, of course, we had to look after our legal framework. The first thing is to open, because before 2009, almost the public sector has a monopoly of the power generation, power transmission, etc. So we had to open the door to the private sector, national and international. And that was the famous law 1309 that has been set to open the sector to private companies, to the private market, and authorize a producer of electricity from renewable energy to private customers or other various customers. And our national utility has no more the monopoly. Then, beside that, we create an agency as a project agency to build this the required and the necessary power plants solar or wind in terms of reaching this level of power generation from renewable energy. The agency is called MAZEN, and they did develop a very centralized power plants in Ouarzazate region. Then in the south and in middle, they had 5 or 6 projects. Many of them has been constructed and or under operation. Also, there is another law that was necessary to create an agency for regulation between private investors, national companies, and regulate the electricity sector. So this agency is called ANER, Agence Nationale d'Électricité, de Régulation de l'Électricité, and it has been set and is working now for developing and promoting the private investment, and with a neutral arbitrary, how I can say, neutral regulations and game laws for all the investors. Then recently, in 2015, we opened the sector for the renewable energy power generation at the level of medium voltage customers. So it gives a very wide possibility for developers to reach the market. Then we recently, some 1 year ago, a new law, 58.15, that has amended the initial law, 1309, to open more the sector for private. I will not enter in the details, but for instance, before the connection at the medium voltage level and low voltage wasn't allowed, connection to the grid wasn't allowed. Now it's possible. And the last law is the self-production, self-consumption projects that allow people to generate their own consumption, even if not on the same site of consumption. They can. So we are now seeing many projects of photovoltaic roofs, farms for agricultural application, pumping, etc. And with a specific consideration that they can inject in the grid 20% of their production. It's not too much, but it's a nice, it's a quite good start. To date, I will give some figures that gives some idea about what has been achieved. So we reached 4 gigawatt installed power of renewable energy. Actually, Morocco, the installed power is something like 11 gigawatts, to give you an idea. So it's quite nice percentage. The wind farms represent 1.4 gigawatt. The hydro is representing 1.7, but it doesn't contribute in the power generation, in the energy production, because, as you know, Morocco is not in terms of hydro resources, rain. We are in not, at least in these recent years, we don't have a lot of rain, so it doesn't generate so much energy. Then we have 830 megawatts installed power of solar energy. Main part of this 830 are CSP, concentrated solar power plants. Photovoltaic, in terms of power plants, is just starting now. And all this represents 38% of the installed capacity. A slide to give you a synthetic view of what are our stand, what has been achieved, but what are the weaknesses and threats and opportunities. So very quickly, the strength is a very high, very high top vision initiated by the highest level of power in Morocco. The strength also is that Morocco has very aggressive strategy, very ambitious, and this is in synergy with other sectors, industrial, logistic, etc. We do have a training institution dedicated to the renewable energy, and even all our universities, engineering schools are including now specialized modules for renewable energy. We do have a competitive costs, and in general, renewable energy now costs are are going down. And for Morocco, there is no choice. I mean, it's we don't have energy resources, no oil, no gas. So it's really a very important choice. The problem of developing national companies, industry, the problem of developing this is this industry is a high capitalized industry, and our companies are, for big projects, are not enough capitalized. So the finance is really a problem. Other thing, from the beginning, I mean, from 2009, the idea was to develop national industry and national know-how and engineering, but we doesn't succeed until now because the project size is too much high than the capacity of the national companies. So mainly the construction was made by and supplied by international industry, which is good for investment opportunity. And Morocco is a target for many countries to participate in this development. But we want absolutely to develop local industry. The legal framework, despite the fact that I have said there is many laws that open the sector, etc., still have some lack of application details, and we need to perform new legal amendments to be more performant. The opportunities are, first of all, these high-level targets decided by the government, and also we have some applications that are very important, like pumping. As I said, we are living some drought period, and we need more and more to pump, but also to desalinate seawater with, if possible, of course, with the renewable energy. So the lack of drinking water in big cities now more and more is a case, and this is an opportunity for new power plants. Another opportunity or good vector for developing renewable energy is the decarbonization. Europe installed some tax for people who want to export to Europe in terms of using clean energy. So our industry, which is exporting to Europe, or more and more installing solar systems to produce with clean energy. Another opportunity is the hydrogen, the green hydrogen. Morocco is looking for developing several big projects with using for producing hydrogen using renewable energy. Excuse me. So looking all these this vision and this strategy, you can realize that our market is a high potential investment market, but also a potential for companies who want to build power plants or to just develop solar projects or wind projects, but also a market for your industry to supply products and equipment for Morocco. Of course, I will stay at your disposal if there is some questions, more clarification or more data. And I want to invite you you're welcome to visit Morocco and maybe organize with your association a session to develop and explain all that. And a good occasion will be, we are organizing an exhibition in November, where you can, of course, participate as an association or invite your members to participate. And we can arrange a special agreement for such event. So this is, I hope I'm not exceeding my time. I thank you for listening and hope that that you learned some interesting thing about Morocco and the renewable energy strategy, and remain at your disposal for questions and answers.
Thank you so much, Hamid, for your very interesting contribution. I think that you covered many aspects that are that interest our companies, because whenever you cover the legal aspects and the planning and the strategy aspects, you are supplying us with important information so that companies can consider the possibility of exploring Moroccan market. And also thank you for sharing the opportunity of November, because our main goal with this sort of activities is also to share these important events and initiatives where companies can meet each other and detect business opportunities. We have, I would say that we have common challenges here in Portugal, because also whenever the projects are bigger, the smaller companies have difficulty of accessing it. But I would like to ask you, how is the, maybe it's too soon, but how is the self-production initiative and law? How is it working there? Is there appetite for small projects for this sort of options? That's because, for instance, in Portugal, we have an interesting success case of a platform for financing sustainable projects, that it gained a good momentum or a good boost whenever this law came out. Because what happens is that local communities and local it could be an hospital, or it could be a school. They could apply for funding because they had the self-consumption law, you know. They could create and use, even though delivering to the grid, they could use their energy. And so what happened is that when this law came out here, it boosted a little bit the involvement of all the communities in the use of solar, mainly solar in this solar options. And that gave also a very interesting impetus to the sector, because suddenly the internal market opened for new projects. And I would like to ask you, how is this, if you have already an idea of the acceptance of this opportunity there in Morocco?
Yes, effectively, really this self-consumption law and self-consumption applications are really giving good opportunity to the local companies because it concerns projects, let's say, from a few kilowatt peak to 2 megawatt peak. The problem is we are waiting for some application decrees of the law that fix some details, the way we have to declare or to have a license to install. So as we say, the devil is in detail. And this kind of things are really giving some break to the development. But however, we are seeing more and more projects. There is some financing available with good rates from Europe, the European Bank of Development, from Germany, from African Bank of Development. Well, the problem of the financement is you have to raise a huge file waiting for the process of approvals, etc. But it exists. This kind of projects are getting more and more, and the government try to keep a certain control. Why? Because they don't want to see what happened in Spain. The grid, our grid, is not maybe able to absorb injection everywhere and at any time. So this is the kind of the things to
deal with.
Yeah.
That's why the theme of the fair is regarding the smart grids, because the smart gridding is one of the key factors for success.
Effectively.
Yes.
And cooperation. Of course, I didn't mention the activity of our federation, but it's very close to what you are doing as an association, as APEMETA. And we want to take profit of exchange with similar organization to see what happened in other countries and learn from the experience of other countries to set some details and to discuss with the government. So if we can
explore those pathways, yes, that's the main goal of fostering this, establishing this collaboration protocols, because we can work with each partner, where build upon what are the interests of and the realities of the different countries.
And even with the other attendees, because I don't know all the people who are participating to this.
Here in the Zoom room, we are mainly the speakers, and we tried to create the BMIAN platform, or to use the BMIAN platform, so that other people could join us. And also we tried to foster some networking. And so
if you can share with all the people the
presentation,
contacts.
And the webinar, this webinar will, since it's being recorded, we will use it. We will put it later on the platform, but we will use it in the near future to share in our social networks and within our contacts, so that people can review your presentation and also get to know a little bit more of your reality and challenges. Last but not least, we have the pleasure of having with us Pinda Diané from the Association Ivoirienne des Énergies Renouvelables. Thank you so much for joining us, for being able to join us today. Pinda, you're very welcome.
Thank you.
All the event was about, is being about sharing the realities in the different countries, and also to our main goal, APEMETA's main goal, is to foster this exchange of realities, so that companies from both countries can get to know a little bit better about possible partnerships and opportunities for exploring cooperation. And so we would very much like to know a little bit more about the energy sector in Ivory Coast. And thank you for joining us and for sharing with us your reality.
Thank you very much, Ms. Rita. Thank you for the invitation to this international meeting of environmental technology. Okay, I don't know if I have to share with you our presentation.
As you prefer. If you want, we can pass it, or if you feel more comfortable, you can share it with us.
Okay, if you can pass it, it's okay, because I have some. Okay, if you can do it, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. First of all, I want to appreciate the fact that you have been inviting us to this important meeting. And my name is Pinda Diane, CEO of Winning Light Group, a solar company in Côte d'Ivoire. I'm a vice president of AIENR, the association, the Ivoirienne Association of Renewable Energy and Energy Efficiency. And we think that we have a very fine time together. Next slide. As plan of communication. Okay. The Ivoirienne Association, AIENR, has been created the 4th of April 2013 in Côte d'Ivoire, and we have in our association more than 15 enterprises, and 20% of those enterprises has had some women like chief of enterprises. And our association wants to be an actor of an interface of energy, environmental, and sustainable development issue. We monitor, informs, propose solution. AIENR is actively participates on the protection of natural resources and promotes the implementation of sober and clean energy. We have been participating to several COP all over the world. Next slide. Can we go to the next slide, please? Okay. Our purpose. The purpose is to contribute to the promotion and development of energy efficiency and renewable energy, with the ultimate objective of contributing in the fight against climate change. The company's members of AIENR are particularly interested in energy issue, quality, energy, optimizing of process, energy efficiency, electrical protection, etc., by acting on consumption items. Our objective is to provide energy solutions, integrating solar components, photovoltaic and thermal, high performance technological equipment that will be as adequate response to high electricity bill and will also reduce greenhouse gas emission. Then our sector is governed by some law, and it has the law, they are laying on the laws of cold electricity in our country. The environmental declaration and consideration. We have many laws here in Côte d'Ivoire before installing the solar plants. So the authorization and licensing procedures varies by location and size of power plants. For small PV installation, permitting systems are often simplified. However, large-scale plants may have more strict procedure in Côte d'Ivoire. The installation of a photovoltaic system must comply with the terms of order, which we have down here. Can you move to the next slide, please? Okay. here we have the different, sorry, you have the different, excuse me. We have some different terms: environmental declaration and consideration. I think it's like, okay, specifies term of order. Since December 2013, since the 13th of December 2019, a ministerial order has been taken. So as Article 1 of the Chapter 1 of the order specify that a freedom regime for a solar installations goes from 0.5 kilowatts for self-generation. Then we have like a section 4 of the Chapter 2 of the order specifies that a para declaration regime for self-production between 0.5 kilowatts and 20 kilowatts source renewable. The section 9 of the Chapter 3 of the order specifies that an authorization scheme for a self-production greater than or equal to 20 kilowatts of source needs a document from our general energy direction. So photovoltaic solar potential in Côte d'Ivoire. Solar energy is abundant in Côte d'Ivoire. It's estimated at 5.25 kilowatts hour per meter square per day, with a duration of sunshine between 2,000 and 2,700 hours per year, depending on the region. We have a greater irradiation in the north that goes from 6 kilowatt hour per meters, then 3 kilowatt hours per meters in the south. So when we move to the next slide, we're going to see the map of Côte d'Ivoire that represent the photovoltaic potential in Côte d'Ivoire. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Pinda.
You're welcome.
One question.
Yes.
How are you currently, besides your company and the association, which main drivers are you identifying in Côte d'Ivoire for projects, for instance, financing schemes, or is financing mainly from foreign sources, or are there starting to have governmental funds to promote projects and invest in this area of energy?
We are actually trying to get some government help for our different financement. It's not easy, but to tell you the truth, our sector is like a newborn in Côte d'Ivoire. It's not really open. I'm not going to say that the sector is virgin. It's not virgin, but it's not yet very open. So we are trying and helping our government to install some terms and law in order to protect the markets here in Côte d'Ivoire. So we have been financing our own projects with our own money. For the little project we have, then for the big projects, we will always be going and look for external partnership in order to hold our different projects in Côte d'Ivoire.
Okay, thank you. I know that Emanuel has to leave. I don't know if he has some final words, or I would just thank you.
Okay, I just want to thank you. I just want to thank you for this opportunity, and we hope to see you soon. To see you soon in Côte d'Ivoire here for a partnership, and hope that you will like to have a real partnership with us in Côte d'Ivoire, because Côte d'Ivoire is a country that need a lot of partners in order to work in our solar system and efficiency.
Okay, thank you so much, Pinda.
I
will go for a final question for you. Just let me ask you for a final note to Emanuel, because he was the only representative of Portuguese companies today, unfortunately. But I would like to ask you if you could help me to stress one or two strengths of our companies that can be relevant for these international partners.
Thank you very much. And I think that the main goal that the Portuguese companies or any company that wants to work abroad, independent of the country you want to work with, or the local, is to understand is to try to be local. I think that's the best way to put it. So it's to understand how things work there and try always to have a solution that can work for locally, not to make a copy of what you do here. No, you have to do the extra work to understand how, for example, the first time that we tried to do a project for the nature waves, we had to study everything, the transport, everything, and that's one part. The other part is to understand how we could work with local authorities, how we can manage. The aim is to spread this technology, for example. So how, with whom we have to talk to, how we can be sure that after the work is done, the installation continues to work. Because the big problem, I think, sometimes is that we have the investment, you do the investment, for example, in wastewater treatment plants, and then you don't plan, as you said, you need to plan what will happen after. How many people do you need to make the wastewater treatment plant work? And what kind of resources in terms of studies, what they need to know. They need to know about pumps, they need to know about the chemical products, they need to know. And this is also an issue in our field, is that if you go to the major capitals, you don't have this kind of problem. But if you go, for example, in Angola, if you go to Luanda, maybe you don't have a problem, or if you go to Benguela. But when you go to smaller cities that also need wastewater treatment plant, it is more difficult to find the resources, the human resources for complex projects. So you need to work locally. You need to understand beforehand how you can actually put in place a system that works. I think that's the most important thing to do, is to put in place something that you know that it will work. It will work in 5 years, it will work in 10 years, 20, not something that somebody is financing, that it's far away from the country. You are far away from the country, and then the country has an investment that it cannot put to work. So I think you really need to work locally. You really need to work with local companies and local institutions.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Emanuel.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for joining us and for being here. I would add to this something that emerged from the last two meetings, I would say, or from the most recent interaction that APEMETA did both with the international partners and the Portuguese companies, is that once we want to get to projects or to designing of ideas, companies and technology providers need numbers, need some it's a preconceptional stage, but a pre-dimensioning stage that needs numbers from the field. And this collection of numbers that, for instance, many of you shared here today, like Pindas did just shared some basic numbers about the solar potential from the region. But besides that, whenever we have to dimension or plan or an investment, a project, or technology transfer for a local community, we need that agents in the field collect pre-dimensioning aspects values that are relevant for then plan a certain technology or if it is adequate or not. We also identified regarding this, there is some lack of capacitation. It does not has to be, we don't need to train people to be engineers, but we need to train them on environmental teams and on how to collect environmental data that would help us to then prepare and plan and dimension investments, projects, and cooperation. Because what happens is whenever our associations or our member companies try to dimension a certain project and apply for financing, they struggle to reflect the reality of the field. And so what happens then is that sometimes we have the approval, we have the finance, but what Emanuel just said happens in reality, which is we get things to exist, but then the operation, the maintenance, and its adjustment to reality, just like Tshilidzi said, it is so important. It does not happen in the field. And so what I think it's important to stress that sometimes our associations, we can try to apply for projects for this interface of knowledge on how to have data, environmental data that are relevant for engineers, for technology providers to then dimension things or apply for projects in the field. Another thing is the capacitation, the training. Companies have solutions, they can do the specific training on their solutions, but we have to set the background for it to be perceived, received, either from local communities, but also from local authorities and, for instance, other agents as regulators. APEMETA in the past has also promoted many cooperation, not only between companies from Portugal and abroad countries, but also from this sort of agents, regulators, the directorates from energy, from environment, and energy agencies, for instance, that sometimes are very useful to support later on the other sorts of cooperation, namely the export and the import of technologies and the implementations of projects. And so I would like to stress that. So sometimes besides this sharing of experiences and opportunities, we can try to set the ground for our member companies, for our companies to really apply for and build projects and keep exchanging and these realities and talking about it, because we will for sure identify potential both parties, companies or institutions that could engage themselves in some cooperation projects. I would go for a final round for Anthony, Dosse, and Tshilidzi for final comments, and also Ahmed for final comments before closing this forum. Our main goal was that let me just quickly share it with you, was that people had the opportunity of visiting the platform, because the platform, besides this webinar that we have here today, that if you join the session, you can see us and comment, and it will have soon this recorded presentation and the the PowerPoints from the different from the different speakers. You have also the possibility of, if you stop by the networking area, you will be asked to share your contacts, and we could visit each other's booths, virtual booths, and the idea was that we could promote some B2B meetings. You can either try to meet the exhibitors, because whenever you go for a virtual booth, you have the possibility of, sorry, let me just, yeah. You have either the possibility of chatting, but also we have the possibility of using these meeting rooms that are on the calendar for meeting with other participants. However, we know that for this international meeting, this possibility is not quite functioning. And so maybe, to be most honest, I would like to share with you that we are here to promote the interface between all the participants in this event, to facilitate contacts, and to promote that you can later on meet and keep on exchanging this information. And I would now go for the final notes. I would maybe start by Dosse. Dosse, your final words, please.
I'm very, very happy to be invited to this opportunity. I think that everything is clear, and we'll move forward to a good result. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dosse. Anthony.
Yes, I just want to say thank you very much, all the organizers, the APEMETA team. They've done a great job, which has given us opportunity to present my country. And we are looking forward having a follow-up interaction to enable the Portuguese Association to discover the potential in Ghana and beyond. So I thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Anthony. I would now go for, well, Emanuel has already shared, so I would go for Tshilidzi.
So thank you so much for the invitation. From my side, I can just say that there is a big opportunity for Global North to cooperate with the Global South. As FANRPAN, we are available as a network of networks to make sure that technologies which are relevant and contextually relevant for the continent are being adopted and are benefiting the farmer who is working the land. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Tshilidzi. And Pinda, I know that you just, well, let me just go first for Ahmed, so, sorry. Ahmed, some final words?
Sorry, my micro wasn't activated. Yes, I also thank you very much for this opportunity and for this webinar. Two things. First thing is that in our market, as I have seen, is very, very active and high potential market, but we don't see Portugal as a player. We deal more with Germany, Spain, France, other countries, Middle East, etc. investors. I would like to see more Portugal playing a certain, especially recently, you may know that we had a very high level meeting between our two governments in Lisboa, I think last week. And renewable energy is one of the sectors that they want to promote and to develop. Second thing, I invite all the participants and beyond your companies and your African countries, you are in relationship with them, to have the opportunity to visit Morocco, of course in November and even before or after. And our federation will stay at your disposal to organize a B2B or an event here in Morocco.
Thank you so much. We would very much like to engage more in the dissemination of this event in November, and try to pass this message to our companies of these opportunities in the energy sector. And so let's work on this until November, so that we are able also, for instance, building upon this webinar by its public dissemination, maybe share with them this all this potential that you shared with us today, and so that we are able to spread the word about this possible cooperation. Thank you so much, Ahmed. And Pinda, sorry for the late joining, but we can still work on and share with you some of our reality, because you only joined us later on. But I would go for your final notes.
Okay, for my final notes, I just want to thank you, first of all, for allowing Côte d'Ivoire and our association to partake in this important meeting. And hope we have opportunity to have the Portugal technology about solar. Okay, and if I may ask a question to you, do you have in your future plan to come in Côte d'Ivoire for business, especially business in solar and energy efficiency? And the second question is, do you have in the future to organize an exhibition or a meeting in Portugal about solar or energy efficiency?
Let me start by your first question. To be most honest, what happens is that in APEMETA strategy, we started now to getting to know a little bit more Côte d'Ivoire. So we for incentivizing also our member companies and all Portuguese companies to know a little bit better your market, we have invested in the preparation of some open access documents that talk a little bit about the country and what is its reality in terms of environmental fields like energy, water, waste, air pollution, and also the legal framework for environmental areas. Because what happens is that besides the general legal framework for business in a certain country, whenever we get to the environmental areas, there are typically some specific legal frameworks. So we and this is common for Togo, Côte d'Ivoire, Ghana, and Gambia also. We have what we did was that our main goal was to help companies to get some initial overview of these markets in terms of environmental fields. So we are now finishing this small studies. They are like 60 or 80 pages, but we are planning on delivering them to companies in the near future, so that they get to know a little bit better your countries. And based on that, we can test or get to know more a little bit of the appetite, of the specific appetite companies may have for your countries. And we will try based on that to design our next activities, because we are here to serve the companies, and so depending upon their interests and appetite, we will plan traveling or events. Nevertheless, and this is for all of our partners here, we are always available for trying to develop commonly projects that could contribute for setting the ground for them. And so when it comes to events in Portugal, we are a small country. We have several. We have some events, some important events. I think that the best thing is that we share with you that the main events that comprise either exhibition or conferences that tackle a given sector like the energy. And so that you are aware of the main dates of these events and consider the possibility of joining us. Okay, so let's plan this, the sharing of this information from both parties. So let us know about events that are relevant in your country so that we are aware of them and also share with them with our companies that are interested and planning on traveling. And we will share also the relevant events. Most of them are taking place now in the last trimester of the year, from I would say October to December. We have it's an important time frame for some events that we have here. And as we speak, and now the April-May is also another important time of the year for exhibitions regarding constructions and sustainability on energy also. And so we will try to give you a panorama, a snapshot of how does the sector here gathers and when. Okay. And it's important that you ask us this, because that's one of our goal is to exchange this sort of information. And I would also like to ask all the other partners here to share the same. We will keep in touch. Let me thank you all of you that helped us to foster this international meeting. I think it was for us, it was the first time we did it in English, because typically we would do it in Portuguese with Portuguese speaking countries like African or Brazil, or we would do it in a sort of a Portuguese Spanish language.
Next time in French.
Yes.
Speaks French.
Yes, we will have to improve our French. Sorry, but we will have to manage that if we want to keep engaging with you. Yes, we will have to manage that. But thank you so much. I think that we will keep doing, despite traveling and meeting in person. We should every now and then do this sort of events online, because they allow us to have easy access moments for keeping these interactions alive. And so thank you all for helping us APEMETA to foster this interchange of experiences, and for brightly presenting your country's opportunities and challenges. And let's meet in the near future and keep working on these bridges we have now started to build. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.